What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream today. We'll be looking at a potential takeover from Daniel Ek. He's set to return to Arsenal with an offer this time of £2 billion to try and buy the football club from Stan Kroenke after his £1.8 billion bid was rejected a few weeks ago. Will it be enough to make him sell? I'm not so sure, but one thing is for certain. The fan base have to apply pressure, have to try and get behind Daniel Ek. I was about to cancel Spotify. I thought it was, a publicity stunt. I was on my way to Apple Music, but I'm hanging on in there. You're coming back with another bid. We'll give you a little more time, So big up to Daniel Ek. Big up to everyone in the chat. Thank you very much for tuning in on this lovely Wednesday afternoon, wherever you are in the world, or morning or evening, wherever you are. As you can see, another day, another History Channel setting on the green screen. You know what? This guy, and I'm just quickly going to speak about this. This guy hardly ever gets spoken about by Arsenal fans. And I would go as far to say Nicolas Anelka is one of the best strikers that I've ever seen play for Arsenal. Some of you guys, may disagree or whatever, but I'm thinking, Henry, I'm right, Bergkamp, Van Persie, Aubameyang, Nicolas Anelka. He is right up there for me. For anyone who didn't really see him play for Arsenal, if you're a little bit younger, go and watch this guy on YouTube. You watch a lot of YouTube channels and Arsenal channels. Hardly anyone ever talks about Nicolas Anelka. Le Souk, unbelievable player, man. He's got a documentary, actually. I think it's on Netflix. I watched it. Great player, man. It's just a shame he left Arsenal so quick. But honestly, I had the pleasure of watching him play live, and also Thierry Henry. And he actually looked quicker than Henry live at the game. Most people said Henry was our fastest striker, but unbelievable footballer. Big up to everyone in the chat. Thank you very much for tuning in. Typical 9. Henry came from wide left, the Enigma. Yeah, exactly. He was a different player. History Channel settings again, man. Daniel said, actually watch 5 minutes highlights of Anelka 5 minutes ago. Special man. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I loved him. Henry actually said a more naturally gifted striker than himself. Just the attitude cost him, really. But, he still had a great career. Let's get into it, people. Let's get into it. Daniel Ek, as I said, you just save yourself. Man was about to cancel that Spotify and go to Apple Music, you know what I'm saying? Or go to YouTube Premium, yeah? But you save yourself. You've come back just as we all thought it was a publicity stunt. And there is another offer on the way now. 2 billion. Is it going to be enough? Probably not. But at least you're making a move. At least you're applying some pressure. What do we have to do as fans at this point? Because, to be honest, I think 2 billion will be rejected. I don't see it going from 1.8, I'm rejecting it, to 2 billion, I'm taking it. I think they're going to have to get closer to 2.5, in my opinion, which is a long way to go. And is he willing to go to that point? That is the question, 2 billion. I mean, negotiation does work like this. You're not just going to come out and say, all right, 2.5 bill and give me the football club. It will be interesting to see what the Kroenkes do with a £2 billion offer. Are they going to at least entertain a conversation and open negotiations? Man said 2 billion plus a pound. Yeah, that's where we need to go, man. Luis Suarez type of offer, Look, I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he's making another offer. I'm glad he's there waiting in the background and he's applying pressure. Sky are reporting it. Everyone's reporting it, that this offer is legit. He's coming back again, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. I don't think it's going to make Stan Kroenke just give up the football club at £2 billion. 2 billion and Eddie's phone. That's priceless, that phone. Is it a publicity stunt? Listen, I mean, I do think he wants to buy the football club, but I don't know if he's willing to do what it takes to buy it. That's the question that I want to know. I think you've got to get close to 2.5 billion to even make him consider letting go of this football club. Sometimes you've got to make an offer that cannot be refused. But does £2 billion make Stan Kroenke give it up? I don't think so. I think it will take another £500 million. And I don't know if Daniel Ek is prepared to do that. But we'll wait and see. I will show you some details on this shortly. Them need to take it and go. I mean, listen, if only it was that simple. They're not billionaires for nothing. Billionaire businessmen are ruthless. They are calculated. Sometimes it's better for them to have the asset than the cash. Because when you have an asset, you can borrow large amounts of money without having to spend your own money. Most billionaires, they take out loans to buy companies. They don't use their own cash. And it may be better for him to own Arsenal than to sell Arsenal, even at a profit. Is the reason we have signed no one because Stan Kroenke was waiting for Ek to up his offer? I mean, that's an interesting theory. You make me feel a little bit more positive there. Maybe he's sitting there going, you know what? Let's not buy anyone because we're actually going to sell. But for some reason, I just don't think that's the case. I think he's just saying, do you know what? I'm not spending no money and I'm not selling. Yeah, make sure you smash the likes on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Brilliant numbers on the recent videos. Really appreciate it. We'll have some more content coming up this week, of course. Saeed is on the channel tomorrow, so we'll be doing an Arsenal/Man United show with that one. I've got Forever Football with Franny Green on Friday. We'll be previewing the Euros that starts on Friday. I'll be doing an Italy versus Turkey watch-along as well, the opening game, so look out for that. Arsenal has to pay 20 million as a fine for the Super League. There goes our transfer budget. Yeah, good point. The Premier League and UEFA have announced that every club in England that was trying to go into the Super League will have to pay a fine of £20 million. And if they ever try and enter that league again, they will be deducted 30 points. Kroenke out. Listen, we've got to get that movement going. When the season starts again, whether these offers get accepted or not, at least it applies some pressure. At least fans now know we've got something to work with. Because if you've got no one interested and no offer, Kroenke can go, well, who do you want me to sell it to? There ain't no one trying to buy it. But when you've actively and publicly got a guy saying, I want to buy the football club, there's 2 billion. And if he goes again, 2.2, 2.4, 2.5, the fans have to get behind it. And I feel before we haven't really got behind it. We had one great protest, then we gave up and said, it's raining too much, I'm not going. That's not how this works. You might have to protest 15 times, How do you guys think? I want to know your opinions. How do you guys think we can actually apply pressure to Stan Kroenke? Realistically, how can we apply pressure? Bear in mind, a lot of you are in different parts of the world, so I suppose you can get it trending on social media, Kroenke out. A lot of people have said spam the sponsors with Kroenke out, send emails to the sponsors. I think fans who are season ticket holders have to actually leave their seat empty. I don't think, because basically when you're a season ticket holder, you can sell your ticket back to the club so you don't lose out on that money, and they will then sell that ticket to someone else. But I think season ticket holders have actually got to say, I'm not going to the game on Saturday and I'm not selling my seat back to Arsenal. So then Arsenal can't sell your ticket. And that will mean that your seat is empty. I think first game of the season, Arsenal at home in the Premier League, you need 15, 20,000 seats empty. Like you said, protest at pre-season, Emirates Cup. I believe Arsenal are playing Atletico Madrid. They haven't announced the second team yet. Leave half them seats empty. And they have to seriously protest outside the ground. So we'll have to see. But I want to know your suggestions. FZ said, yo, Curtis, men are spamming on the Rams and Nuggets IG accounts. Kroenke out. That's decent. Kroenke out, T-shirts and hoodies. I mean, you need thousands of people to be wearing them. Do walkouts in big games. Arsenal United, for example. Completely or virtually empty stadiums speaks volumes. I do agree with that. And like CW said here, empty seats lost Wenger his job. We have to delete the club and start a new game if only, man. FIFA settings, Let's go, Daniel Ek. Let's see what happens with him. Publicity, again, he ain't buying nothing because it's way too much of a chunk of his total bankroll. If we have 2K, we're going to buy a TV for 600 euros, not 2K. The only thing is, I don't believe he's buying this football club by himself. I reckon he will have silent investors in the background. So even though X worth like 3 billion and Arsenal's going to cost 2, it doesn't necessarily work like that. He's not going to go into his bank, take out 2 billion and buy the club. He's going to borrow money against his company, which is worth 60 billion, Spotify. So he can easily borrow 2-3 billion to buy the football club. And also, like I said, I believe there'll be more investment in the background from silent investors. Buenos Aires Gunnar said the fans have to unite first, and I totally agree with that more than anything. No point in doing anything if there's a split amongst the fans. That is a great point. We do still have a split amongst the fans, you know. We had like quite toxic protests towards Arsene Wenger, who is an Arsenal legend, whether we disagree with what happened towards the end of his career or not. What he did in the early part of his career was legendary, and it became toxic when this guy Kroenke is basically suffocating the football club, and there ain't much heat towards it. I feel like the fans have kind of given up, and they're kind of so tired of it. They don't know, how to go about getting him out, which is unfortunate because it's definitely going to take a united fan base. Billionaires don't have to put all the money. They use lent money to circulate. I think we're screwed. The Kroenkes can invest this summer, and if it doesn't work, they can sell to Eck. And if it does work, they'll stay, especially if we get back in the Champions League. I mean, it's not a nice situation, that is it? That they can just use us in that manner. Here's the value of Arsenal. I mean, the club is decreasing. I'm sure when he took over, we were more expensive than Chelsea. As you can see now, Chelsea are worth 2.3 billion. Liverpool 2.9 and Arsenal 2.1. I believe this was before they won the Champions League as well. So obviously they have 6 European trophies now. How can any Arsenal fan be Kroenke in now? They ain't real fans. Do you know what it is? I don't even think any Arsenal fan is Kroenke in. I think are we willing to do what it takes to apply pressure? Now, I'm not saying applying pressure will force Stan Kroenke to sell the football club, but it can make him ask questions and say, is this really worth it? Do I need this stress? And at the moment, that first protest was great. The second one was weak, and I felt like the fans, they thought, all right, we've done our protest, nothing's happened, and that's it. And it takes a lot more. I think sometimes, drastic measures. You have to take drastic action, Man United fans were on the pitch. We got to go to them levels. Maybe not on the pitch, but, we got to make life difficult. Aggressive protests work. Applying pressure attracts buyers, because look, that protest attracted the eye of Daniel Ek. Hit the like button, people. Make sure. Can we? We've been hitting 1,000 likes on our daily videos. We even got over 2,000 the other day, so I appreciate the support. Neil says Kroenke out, Edu out, Arteta out, and Vinay out. All of them guys have to go. Second one was a disgrace. I've seen more people in Tesco, mate, on a regular afternoon. There was about 100, 150 people in the rain. KB said, hypothetically speaking, if Daniel Ek took over the club, what area do you think he will address first? I mean, first of all, he has to address the communication with the fans. The fans have no connection to Stan Kroenke. That's one of the biggest problems. He doesn't communicate. He doesn't allow the fans to have any insight into his plans. He said crazy things before, like, I didn't buy Arsenal to win trophies and things like that. So he has to bridge that gap between the fans, first of all. Secondly, he has to look after the club properly. If players' contracts are running down, extend them or sell them. Don't allow big players, big assets to run down their deal. The way that Kroenke has allowed Sanchez, Ozil, all these players to just run down their contract. And then, thirdly, put money into the football club. If he hasn't got big money to invest, there's no point in buying the club. We'll be in the same situation. Buy us what we need. If we need a right back, buy a proper one. As I always say, sometimes if you buy cheap, you buy twice. You can go and bargain hunt and buy a right back, and then in a year, he's not good enough and you have to buy another one when you could have just bought one. We did it for years and years with Arsene Wenger. We needed a striker when Robin van Persie left. I believe we were a top striker away from winning the title. And he went Lucas Perez, Lucas Podolski, Olivier Giroud, Danny Welbeck. You know, all these strikers that he bought when he could have bought Higuain from Real Madrid, who went to Napoli and ripped it apart. He could have got Luis Suarez. I believe Luis Suarez would have been the difference for Arsenal. We would have won the title, in my opinion, with a striker like that. But Arsenal are always scrimping and scraping, looking for a bargain, looking for the cheap option. If we need a centre mid, buy the right centre mid, even if he's expensive, you know, and that's what we need to see. Curtis, we have to boycott merch. Yeah, I mean, it will affect sales and will affect some of the money coming through the club. Just shows you Dangote was a liar, has no intention of buying Arsenal. Listen, I always felt Dangote was publicity, unfortunately. He's never shown any real intention of buying the club. So, again, publicity stunt. Marshall said, Big C, American owners are the worst. They're out there. I'm from the States and I can confirm that. Big up yourself, Hack. I mean, listen, the Liverpool owners have done pretty well. So I give them credit. I don't want to, you know, tarnish every American owner with the same brush. We've seen difficult owners from America, but, you know, you get the odd one that handles the business a lot better. I genuinely think we've potentially got the worst one, unfortunately. Dangote is all talk, disappointing. Yeah, hyped up the fans, give it all, I'm a fan and all that, and then never turned up. Curtis, why we always go for the cheap option? They don't want to spend. They're tight, you know. Some people don't understand that to create a successful business, you have to invest in it. You have to pump money into it. It's no coincidence that the champions of Europe are Chelsea, who pump money into their football club. The champions of England are Manchester City, who pump money in. You know, look at the 4 teams in the Champions League semi-finals this year. Real Madrid, the king of Spain, part owns that football club. You know, Chelsea, Abramovich, PSG, Qatar, and Manchester City, you know, Abu Dhabi, you know, they're all getting money pumped into them. And that's why they're enjoying themselves, you know. And that's why teams like Arsenal can't bridge that gap. The business is successful, Curtis. The football is secondary to them. And that's a good point. From their point of view, they probably sit here and go, whoof, Arsenal, we're onto an absolute winner here. Minimal investment, maximum profit. Okay, profit has dropped in the last few years and they're definitely not making the same amount of money that they used to make. But they're raking it in, man. They're enjoying life as Arsenal owners. They're under no real pressure. Just a couple of quick updates, people. Don't forget, in the description below, if you want to become a channel member, the link is there. We're doing members-only streams and things like that. But what I wanted to announce, if you was on yesterday's stream, I said I was going to do a fantasy football for the Euros. And I've set one up. The link is in the description below. I believe you don't even have to join. It's UEFA Games. It's an app. It's the official UEFA app for the Euros. Just click on the link, join my league, and set up your team. A bit of fun, a bit of banter between us in the Euros. I'll do updates every week, and I'll put it on screen. We'll see who's winning, who's bottom of the league. Have a bit of fun. If you want to join that, link is in the description below. Go and build your team. You get 100 million to build your team. I'd spent about 50 million just on the strikers. So I've got a few little cheap players in certain areas. So link in the description below if any of you want to join my Euro Fantasy Football League. Also, just saw some news that Chelsea have offered £60 million for Ashraf Hakimi. Not sure why Chelsea are going in for him because they've got Reece James. There are some rumours that Reece James could be converted to a right centre-back of a three-man defence. Chelsea, of course, who've won the Champions League, they're showing huge ambition. The transfer window opened today, June the 9th. Transfer window is open. Teams are making moves. And guess what? Arsenal, as someone said on yesterday's video, Arsenal are sitting on their hands. They're sitting on their hands. You look at the window already. Man City are chasing Harry Kane. Man United are chasing Jadon Sancho. Chelsea want Haaland. They're now looking at Ashraf Hakimi. Aston Villa have signed Buendia. Liverpool have signed Konate from Leipzig. Clubs are making moves. Arsenal have not sold or signed one player. And I know the transfer window's only just opened. You might think, be patient, don't worry. It doesn't finish till the end of August. But with the Euros, with the Copa America, with the Gold Cup, a lot of players are going to be in different parts of the world. And if they have good tournaments, it can inflate their price. Do you know what I mean? So all of a sudden, you might want a Ruben Neves for 35 million. He could go to the Euros with Portugal and play great football. And all of a sudden, Wolves go, how about 50 million? And all of a sudden, you can't get the player that you want. So Arsenal, I just don't understand. We are the team that are playing catch-up, yet we are the team moving slower than anyone else. I don't understand it. It's really, really frustrating. Mikel Arteta said in his last press conference, we've already lined up the players we want to sign. We know what we're going to do. We've got plans. We're looking to move quick before the Euros. I mean, the Euros starts in 48 hours and we've done absolutely nothing. And it's so annoying. You just think, what are they doing? What are they doing? WF said, I'm ashamed to be an Arsenal supporter. I'm ashamed to be an Arsenal fan with these guys in charge. Someone said earlier, something that Daniel Ek has to do is address the manager. It would be interesting to see whether he would keep Mikel Arteta. Does he trust him to actually back him if he decides to keep him at the football club? Usually owners walk in and give the manager a bit of a chance, but, I don't think he'll have too long. Richard Reed said, big up Big C, jumbo sale settings. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You're spot on, my friend. You are spot on. We're doing the same thing. We're doing exactly the same thing. Be proactive. Get the deals done. If you need to sign players, and that means you've got to sell players first, you might have to take a hit. Roma want Granit Xhaka. Maybe you've just got to take 15, 16, 17 million for him, even if you think he's worth 20, 25. You've made this mistake. You've put yourself in this difficult situation. So you have to rectify it. If Arsenal don't move players on quickly, then we're going to find it very difficult to go and get players because these guys will go quick. Aouar and all these players who are potentially available. I'm not saying Arsenal will get these guys, but they're available. You can't let them go and play for their national team and their sale goes through the roof. We are a garage sale. We're literally a jumbo sale going, take my Granit Xhaka. If you get your Xhaka, you get your Guendouzi for free, it's crazy, Kolasinac is coming back to Arsenal. We had 7 players out on loan last summer and nothing has been dealt with those guys. And in fact, that leads me on nicely to the next story. One Love said, I've supported Arsenal for over 30 years, but I can't love the club in its current state. It's very difficult to love the club in this current state. What over 1,100 of you in here, people? Smash a like, subscribe. Really appreciate your brilliant support. Ainsley Maitland Niles has been talking, and I'm not sure that this conversation will do much for his future in terms of an Arsenal player. He's done an interview with the Telegraph Sport, and Ainsley Maitland-Niles has said, I want a decision. I want some clarity. And then hopefully I can get to work with whoever I need to get to work with. Whether that is finding a new club or carrying on with my training, I would like some kind of indication on what is happening. Big up Fofty, man. Fofty! I actually think he's been treated quite bad by Mikel Arteta. I got to be honest now, whether he should be at Arsenal or not, give me your opinions. What do you think? Would you keep Ainsley or would you get rid of him? But one thing I think we can all agree with is I think he's been treated badly by Mikel Arteta. 12 months ago, We win the FA Cup. He puts in some fantastic performances at wing back. You know, I remember him keeping Mahrez quiet in the semi-final. End of the season comes. He's finished the season well, and Wolves come in for him for £20 million. Bear in mind, Arsenal are turning around saying we can't buy Aouar because we don't have enough money. So we turned down 20 million from Wolves. Wolves had sold Doherty to Tottenham. They then went and signed Nelson Semedo. So you keep him. So that makes you think, all right, Ainsley's going to get game time. He barely kicks a ball. He actually was getting more game time for England than he was for Arsenal. He's probably thinking, right, I've got a chance to go into the Euros here as a versatile, player in the squad. And he ends up going on loan to West Brom in January and gets relegated. And now his stock, his value is probably lower than it was 12 months ago because now he's been relegated. He hasn't been great centre mid. He's been dropped out the England squad, hasn't gone to the Euros, and now he's stuck between a rock and a hard place because I don't think Mikel Arteta wants anything to do with him. I think if they get a decent offer, they will sell Ainsley Maitland-Niles. But what does this tell you, again, about Arsenal Football Club and the running of the football club? Ainsley is saying, I want some sort of clarity. We're 9 days into June. The football season finished, a couple of weeks ago, and the club have not spoken to him. They've not indicated to him what they want to happen. He goes on to say, Ainsley Maitland-Niles was asked about not playing much for Arsenal and England ever since his first call-up. He said, you don't really get any contact from either manager, from the international stage or the club. I was thinking, what you want me to do now? What am I supposed to do now? Communication is one of the biggest parts of management in any company or business. Never mind football, where you're dealing with guys with big egos. They're rich. They've got agents. They've got advisors. Now, Gareth Southgate not speaking to him that much is not the biggest deal. He's only played a handful of times for England. Gareth probably thinks, what do you want me to say to you? You're not in the squad. But Mikel Arteta should at least be talking to him. All right, you finish your loan at West Brom. This is what our plan is for you, Ainsley. Remember, this guy came through the academy. He's one of our own. We're supposed to look after these players more than any other, really. You've come through our academy. Arteta, just communicate with the guy and say, listen, couple years left on your deal. I don't really see you in my plans. If I was you, I would speak to your agent about looking for another club. Because one thing that I'm sure of, I think clubs will be interested in Ainsley Maitland-Niles. And Chris Wheatley has come out today saying that Crystal Palace are very interested in signing Ainsley Maitland-Niles in the summer. They see him as a versatile player that can play centre midfield and can play at right back or right wing back. So I think Ainsley will get a move. But what I will say, this conversation for me will finish any chance that he will have of continuing at Arsenal, because most managers, even though I respect what he's saying, a manager will turn around and say, don't have that conversation with the press. Keep that in-house. Even though I do think Arteta is in the wrong and should have communicated with him, I think that the manager will hold this against him. And I think it's unfortunate for Ainsley. One thing I will say about Ainsley is I think he missed a massive opportunity at Arsenal when Hector Bellerin did that knee injury. He had a year to make himself Arsenal's number one right back / right wing back. I think he had a lot of ability. I think he's quick. He's good on the ball. He can get forward. He can cross. He takes good penalties. Defensively, he's decent. At times been found wanting, but with coaching and enough experience, I think he would have improved. But I think he's almost played himself out of the team now. But it's clear to me that Mikel Arteta has a bit of a problem with kind of these players that kind of are not afraid to speak up and kind of say something, Like you said, Guendouzi, you can see he's very outspoken. Ainsley said one or two things now. Saliba spoke up and said things on social media. And he doesn't seem to like or even be able to handle that kind of character. So, listen, I do feel a bit sorry for Ainsley, I have to admit. I don't think he'll be at the football club next year. I think the club will move him on. I mean, he goes on to say here as well, I've got 2 years left on my contract, so I'm due to be going back there. Obviously, once I do go back, I need to speak to the manager and see where he sees me. See what ideas he has, and we can move from there. I think he'll be leaving. I just think he'll be leaving the football club. I don't see his future. Look at the Mail Sport trying to glorify it. Ainsley Maitland-Niles makes a stunning public admission as he asks Mikel Arteta to play him or sell him. The Daily Mail are really, they're not far off the Sun newspaper in terms of, bottom of the barrel. But yeah, Ainsley, I do feel sorry for him, but I think his time's up. I think it's best for him to go and get another club. And listen, I just don't like the way they've dealt with him. Why should a player have to go to the press and say, I want clarity? He should have got that clarity from his manager. But it is what it is. Like you said, we keep it moving. For me, with Ainsley now, try and get, how much is Ainsley Maitland-Niles worth in your opinion? You've still got to gas it up when you're selling him. You've still got to say, listen, 23 years of age, England international, can play right back, can play right wing back, can play centre mid. I'm not letting him go on the cheap. I'd still like to see £20 million for him. I got to be real. Sidney says 10 mil. Remember, Leicester were linked with him in January on loan. He's got to be worth more than 10 mil. He's a 23-year-old England international, whether we think he's a great player or not. Last year we rejected. Well, you've put £20, but yeah, I know what you're saying. 20 mil, 20 to 25, 10 to 15. He said, kiss Arsenal goodbye. 20 million. If Tammy is 30, he's 15 to 20. 20 to 22. Mustafa says 15. I doubt we'll get more than 15 million. Hamza said £3.50. To me, I think between 15 and 20. I think you're looking closer to 15, if I'm honest, just because of the loan spell, what he had. I don't think that will have helped him. Same guy who picked Holding over Saliba. Say no more, my friend. Say no more. Big up Mr. Modo with a super chat. He said, hey, Curtis, Arsenal FC is Stan's pet project for his son. This is more like Billionaire's lemonade stand for his son to play with. I mean, what a great, comparison that you've made there. He's basically told his son, now you're old enough, go and run that football club and do your best. Like selling lemonade on a hot day out on the street. He's going to try, but it's crazy. We've got an owner with very little experience. We've got a director of football who, as we said, glorified travel agent with very little experience, does a lot of his deals through Kia Jarachin and agents. You've then got Vinay, who is a salesman, basically, who works to get us sponsorship deals. And then you've got Mikel Arteta, who'd never managed in his life. His CV was a blank piece of paper, literally. I always make that joke. Imagine you applying for a job and it says send CV, and you send a blank CV in. You just put your name at the top, and they ring you and say, what work experience you've had? You say, well, watched a lot of YouTube videos, mate. I know what I'm doing. They ain't going to give you the job, bro. So how can this guy... You probably couldn't get a job in your local Tesco with no experience. But this guy got a job at one of the biggest football clubs in world football, although we don't act like it, let's be honest. I am king. I'll come to your comment next. Amain said, brother, I think we should look at from Schalke and Yusuf Attal from Nice. Yeah, do you know what? The guy from Schalke I haven't seen, but Attal I've seen a few times. He's decent. Yeah, put the cones out for Pep and filled up the water bottles for Aguero and De Bruyne and Sterling and them, Watched a lot of YouTube. Yeah, them ones. Man said, nah, Tesco takes everybody. I suppose during the pandemic still, they would give you a little job. Attal is decent. I could apply at NASA. Don't mean it will happen. Yeah, but this guy can get the Arsenal job just because he was next to Pep. Like you said, Liam, cone man, kit man, /flight man, DFS sofa man, and owner's son. And no references, although Pep was probably the reference, so that would have probably got him in. Pep's water boy. Shocking man management. Donovan said Strykot, Cam, 2 centre mids, 2 right backs, and a left back. Minimum of what's required this window. So you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 players. I think Arsenal will probably sign around 5. I think we'll sign a Cam. I think we'll sign 1, maybe probably 2 centre mids, actually. I think we'll get 1 right back, not 2, because he'll probably keep Cedric and Callum Chambers and sell Bellerin. And I think we'll get a backup left back. So I think we'll get about 5. It's the media's fault. Arteta has an ego. He's like the media's pet for some reason, isn't he? I don't know why. I really don't know why he's so loved by the media. I think maybe because of Unai Emery. And Unai Emery was not particularly loved by the media because he found it difficult to communicate. I think they were just happy to get someone in who they could speak to and communicate with. We need another centre-back as well. Yeah, in my opinion, I think we got quantity rather than quality at centre-back. A lot of people say we don't need a centre-back. But for me, we've got a lot of them rather than many good ones, apart from Gabriel, who I think's got a big, big future. Even he's not the finished article yet. What centre-back partnership would you look at right now in the Arsenal squad and think that central pairing gets us top 4? I mean, listen, I'd love to see Gabriel and Saliba, but you've got a distinct lack of experience there. So, Ashton said, Arteta, I did Pep's here. Wouldn't have took long, would it? Just slap his head, put some Brill cream on there, put some Vaseline on there. I parked Sterling's car. Yeah, that's it. I parked his car when he pulled up to the training ground. 5 players in, you're having a bubble. We'll be lucky if we get 2. Yeah, I know. Maybe I'm being a bit optimistic with 5, but I'm just hopeful that we'll get some in. Laporte would fix our defence. Yeah, I don't think he'd leave. I know he's been dropped, but I still think he's got a big future there. Mavropanos is quality. I mean, he's had a good season at Stuttgart. He's apparently coming back for pre-season. Let's see how he gets on. Vaseline on Pep's head. We are selling 10. Bro, I don't think we are. I think we'll try and sell 10. We'll probably sell about 4. Goalkeeper, if Leno goes, and it sounds like he wants to go, 2 years left on his deal. Pep Shoeshiner. Lewis Dunk's good, man. Lewis Dunk is good. Brighton have got some good players, man. That Ben White's decent as well. Didn't surprise me that he got in the England squad. Joshua said, Curtis, would you want Sterling? My problem with Sterling, man, I look at him as a system player. I think he's brilliant in the Manchester City system. They know how to use him. The way Arsenal play, I think Sterling would be half as effective as he is for City. And he's on nearly 300 grand a week. As much as I like Raheem Sterling as a player, I just don't think he would work in the Arsenal team. I really don't. Respect the Cones, I respect them. I think you boys should be happy with top 6 next season. Top 4 looks unreachable, let's be honest. Listen, we got to aim for top 4, but I realistically think it's top 6 because I just look at it and I think Liverpool will be back next year. Van Dijk, they've got Konate. I think they're miles ahead of us still. Man City, we can't even see them with a telescope, mate. They're that far away from us. So there's 2. You've then got Man United finished 2nd, and I don't even think they were great last year, but they will invest in the summer. And you've got Chelsea, who've just won the Champions League. So I don't see at the moment, without serious investment, how Arsenal finish above those 4. And then you've still got the likes of Tottenham, Leicester, West Ham, all finished above us. So I think top 6 would actually be a positive for Arsenal at this stage, although as a fan, of course I would want to see us get top 4, but without investment, it wouldn't happen. We need a bully defender like Connor Cody. I got to admit, I'm not a big fan of Connor Cody, but I agree that we need a bully. I think we definitely need someone with like physical presence who's good in the air. White, Aaron's, Bissouma and Sabitzer, I mean, I'd be happy with that. That would be an expensive window. You're looking at, Sabitzer's got a year left. You could possibly get him for cheap. Aaron's would be 30. Bissouma would be probably 40. So you're looking at 70. Sabitzer maybe 25 with a year left. 95. Ben White, I think, would cost 30 as well. You're looking maybe 125 million, possibly more. Would you go for Tyrone Mings? No, I wouldn't. I think he's okay. I just think we need a right-sided centre-half to play with Gabriel. I don't think 2 left-footed centre-backs would be the answer. I mean, listen, I do think 2 left-footed centre-backs can play together. Don't get me wrong. But I just think for that balance, and Mings would be expensive as well. And let's be honest right now, Villa just signed our top target. So who's to say Mings would even want to come to us? Donovan said, why has everyone been ishing on Neves? The man is class and would absolutely add to our midfield. Great deep-lying playmaker. I think people, and I can understand it as well, I think people want athleticism and power in midfield. I think people look at Ruben Neves as a good player who's still a bit slow. And I think people think that for 35, 40 million, he's not a massive upgrade on Granit Xhaka. I think he's better than Xhaka, I've got to be honest. As I said, I would rather Basuma, but I would take Neves ahead of Xhaka. When is the Wenger stream? It will be at the weekend, unfortunately. I'm trying to line some guests up for it. If not, I'll just do it by myself or with one guest, you know what I mean? But I wanted a little panel of 3 or 4 people on. So maybe we look at Saturday or Sunday for that one. Euro predictions video. I'm doing a Euros video on Friday. So look out for that. I'll probably do 2 streams on Friday. One will be for the Arsenal update, regular daily video, and then we'll do a Euros video after that. We'll predict, top scorer, who we think is going to win it, surprise of the tournament, all those kind of things. Like I said, people, link in the description below. My Euro Fantasy League is there. Click on the link, set up your team, join the league. We'll do, daily or every few days. I'll show you who's top of the league. A bit of fun. On the channel, go and join that. Get your team in there. 100 million you get to spend, I believe, on your team. Mr. PKA said, yo, Big C, love the channel, bro. Would you be happy with Salic, Basuma, Neves, and Odegaard on loan? I'd take that right now, I would take that because I feel like we won't even get that done. I can't see us buying Basuma and Neves. I think it'll be one or another. I don't think they would spend both. You're looking 35 million on each. That's 70 million purely on midfielders. But we'll have to see. We live in hope. The transfer window is open. But I just don't know if Arsenal know it yet, Let's look at 1 or 2 other things. Arsenal are being linked with a familiar name, somebody that we've seen a number of times over the years, is Nabil Fekir. This is going to become the new Jan and Villa or Benzema or Higuain. Them players we just got linked with every single summer. Draxler and, we never ended up signing them. Although Lacazette, we was linked with him for a long time. And then all of a sudden we signed him. Nabil Fekir has apparently said he would like to come to the Premier League. The Real Betis president has come out and said that every player has his price. Even though they would love to keep Fekir, he's got 2 years left on his deal. And apparently this is another potential number 10 link if Arsenal can't get Martin Odegaard done on loan. And it's believed it will cost between 25 and 30 million pounds now. Fekir is 27. He turns 28 next month. Fekir is a player that I really liked him at Lyon. I have to admit, I thought he was a fantastic player at Lyon. He's had that knee injury. He's gone to Spain. He's done okay over there. I just don't think he's the answer. I do like him as a player, and I do think he has still got talent. I just think we're 2 years too late on this one. Before the knee injury, he was one of the most highly rated number 10s in Europe. Liverpool wanted him. They rejected him when they saw the scan on his knee injury. And for me, I just think Arsenal should leave this one. As I've said before, why on earth are they not looking at Mateus Pereira? 25 years of age, 15 million quid. Makes 10 times more sense than this deal. unfortunately, Arsenal and common sense just doesn't seem to go together, you know. Would you guys take him? Let me know. Would you take Fekir? 25 to 30 million. Let's say you could get him for 25. Would you take him? Let me know. William Carvalho is another one we've been linked with forever. And I believe he plays for the same team, doesn't he? Would you take him? Injuries equal Arsenal. Links to Barella from Inter. Yeah, I saw a few links to that, although I don't think there's anything in that with Arsenal. Does make sense to sign a hurt player. It does for Arsenal. Rather have Pereira. I would take Matheus Pereira. 3 years too late on Fekir. No Fekir, not now. Fekir, no. 2 or 3 years ago, I would have. Too late, too injury prone. And Matheus Pereira is a great shout, Curtis. I would take that. I'm telling you, man, I don't know what. I just don't understand why they're not looking at him. I don't get it. If you look at reports, West Brom have said they'll take £15 million for him. 25 years of age, 11 goals in the Prem last season. You know, left-footed, Brazilian, skillful. 6 assists as well. 17 goal contribution in the Premier League for a player in a team that got relegated. Absolutely crazy that we're not looking at him. Do you really think Pereira is worth less than Ainsley? Brother, that's not even me saying that. That's what... do you know what? I knew LG would be somewhere in the chat, you know. He heard Ainsley's voice and his ears, you know, poked up and he thought, yeah, I need to get my comments in. But listen, the reality is Pereira plays for West Brom, who are now in the Championship. He's not an international for Brazil. And they need to sell players to reinvest to get promoted. Ainsley's at Arsenal. He's English. He's in the... well, he's not now, but he's been in the England squad. You know how this thing goes, man. You pay tax on players who play for bigger teams and they're English. They've got caps. You know how it is. Pereira will come to Leicester. I hope not. I really hope not. Pereira is the best option. Definitely. Curtis, I'd take Maddison. I'd take Maddison, but I think he'd cost about 50 million. Maybe more. Every time you say his name, I appear. You just hear me say Ainsley and pop up in it when you hear that. Over 1,500 of you in the chat. Really appreciate it, people. Smash a like and subscribe to the channel. Here's Fekir's stats for his 2 years that he's been in La Liga. As you can see, Fekir now, 27. He turns 28 on the 18th of July. Fekir this season, 33 games in La Liga, 5 goals, 5 assists, 5 yellow cards, 1 red card. I mean, he's not pulling up trees, really, for a number 10. You know, I wouldn't go near this deal. And listen, I don't want to judge a player purely on stats. I have seen him play a few times for Real Betis. He still looks a talented player, but he's not the answer, man. Look at last year, you know, 8 yellows and 2 red cards. This is for a number 10, by the way. This ain't a tackling, you know, defensive midfielder who's getting stuck in. This is your creative midfielder. 3 red cards in the last 2 seasons and 13 yellows. So no, I don't want nothing to do with him. We got my bro, love your channel. Keep up the good work, says Football Officials. Big up, bro. Ben said they'll get Fekir because he's friends with Laka Fret. It would probably keep Laka happy. Fekir is past it. Rodrigo de Paul is a baller, man. I like him. I've seen him play a few times. He's being linked with Atletico Madrid. But yeah, Fekir's stats, nothing to write home about. That is for certain. Let me just have a look at this Rodrigo de Paul, man, because he is a baller. Rodrigo de Paul. Rodrigo de Paul. I believe he plays for Udinese. Oh, wow. Oh, no, that's his Argentina stats. I mean, yeah, he gets decent numbers. 9 goals, 9 assists. Just turned 27. He's in the Argentina squad. He's an exciting player. He is good. He's being linked with Atletico Madrid at the moment, though. So I'm not sure whether Arsenal would go for that one. Because I hear Atletico are in quite advanced negotiations with him. So I think, again, that'll be a difficult one to get done. Who do you guys think we should go for in this number 10 role? It's becoming a problem for Arsenal now. There is a gem. Yeah, Ridul Baku, is it? I've seen him a few times in this under-21 tournament. He looks fantastic. As I said, we can't be calling him Baku if we sign him because we got nightmares about that name, you know, in that place. So, no, he does look very good. Very, very good. De Paul is Udinese carrying the whole team. Very good from what I've seen of him. Oh, here we go. French Charlie Austin, Lacazette, Arsenal, please sell him. Listen, and I always say this to people, and I agree. I have no problem if Lacazette is sold. I don't have any problem with that. But what striker are you going to replace him with? Or do you just feel we don't actually need a new striker? Do you look at it and think, right, we've got Aubameyang. Martinelli eventually can play through the middle. We've got Balogun as the youngster. Those three can carry the goals for us. What do you guys think? Because I'm just looking at the strikers now. And you look at Depay, Memphis Depay, advanced negotiations with Barcelona. Odson Edouard looks like he's on his way to Leicester. So there are very few strikers that are available on the market at the moment. It's not easy. It's not easy. Now, I saw today that Arsenal are being linked with a striker. I don't believe this link at all, I got to be honest. Although I do think this guy is a decent player. And that is Swedish striker Alexander Isak, who plays for Real Sociedad. And it's in the Athletic. It's coming from Ornstein, which is usually a decent source. And the story says that one Premier League club keeping tabs on Alexander Isak's development are Arsenal. The Sweden forward is very, very highly rated by technical director Edu and his recruitment team. I mean, what's his recruitment team? Isak's contract with Real Sociedad contains a minimum fee release clause set at 70 million euros. I mean, we ain't spending that money, man. We're not. I just don't see it happening for a second. Alexander Isak, I was impressed with him against Man United in the Europa League earlier on in the season, although United battered Sociedad. He's got 17 goals this year, 2 assists. He only got 9 goals a year before, and he's got 4 goals in 12 games for Sweden. I mean, to me, hasn't done enough to justify £70 million, you know. 70 million over 40 years, that would be the one. We had a couple of moments. He had a couple of moments against us, not going to lie. He looks quite quick. I don't see Arsenal dropping 70 mil on a striker. I just don't. Man said, let's face it, we're getting Juan Mata on loan. Can you imagine Arsenal doing a deal like that, getting Juan Mata on loan? Edu's recruitment team is the Travel Lodge. Isn't it? Man's working with hotel. Man's got Lenny Henry fan, Premier Inn. Oh, dear. Alexander Isak. Lacazette offered a new 3-year deal. I haven't heard that. I've heard that Arsenal were thinking about offering him a new 1-year contract extension. But what strikers can we look at if Lacazette goes? You know, a lot of people have been mentioning Andre Silva, who's had a fantastic year. He's being linked with Manchester City at the moment, Andre Silva. 25-year-old Portuguese international over there in Germany. 28 goals in 32 games this season for Andre Silva. He's another one that a lot of people have been mentioning. But again, I think it would be very difficult for Arsenal to get. Some people there in the comments mentioning Luka Jovic, who I believe hasn't actually had a great season. I think he got 4 goals in half a season this year at Frankfurt. 4 goals in 18 games, so he hasn't really done much. People saying that Baku is an Arsenal fan. It's amazing how many players actually support Arsenal. Andre Silva is a running behind merchant, and we definitely don't use those kind of players very well. People saying Andre Silva has got a release clause, and quite a cheap one. Andre Silva has a release clause that will become active this summer of just 26 million. Wow. Good point. Big up K-Show on that one. Yeah, 25, 26 million. Andre Silva release clause this summer. Now, I'm sure that clubs will go in for him. You know, I saw the other day he was linked with Manchester City. Although his agent has said that there isn't a buyout clause. So mixed reports on that, whether that is actually true or not. So we'll see. But listen, there are minimal top quality strikers available. Luka Jovic for me is not the answer. Ek is not stupid to lose half of his net worth. He'll be alone though, won't it? You know, that's the thing. Need Curtis Shaw as an attacking midfielder. Oh, man, listen, man. Leave it to the youngsters now. I'll just come on here and talk about the players. I always try. Everyone, you know what? Every day people mention this guy's name. So what's his name? Virhanovich. A lot of people mention him. So I will have a look at him. I know he plays. Does he play for Fiorentina? Is it? I've heard a lot about him. I've heard he's very highly rated. But will Arsenal go for him? There's been no links for him. He's 21 years of age, only just turned 21. It was his breakthrough season, really. 21 goals in 37 games. Left-footed, tall, very highly rated again. But he's going to be expensive. He wouldn't come cheap. Hamza said, I'm a big fan of Silic, the right-back from Lille. And Lille apparently desperate to sell players as well. Yeah, he's at Fiorentina, this guy, Vlahovic. Vlahovic, is it? Vlahovic is the new Benzema rumours. I mean, I don't even know if we've been linked with him that much, to be honest. So we'll have to see. Is he Croatian? Serbian. Well, I saw Serbia. I actually watched Serbia against Jamaica the other day. Jamaica drew 1-1. Big up Andre Gray with the goal for the Reggae Boys, but he wasn't involved. Maybe he's only just finished the season. Patson Dakar, another one that gets mentioned a lot. Is he good enough? I don't know. I mean, he's had 2 good years, 24 goals and 27 goals. He plays in Austria for RB Salzburg. He's only, how old is he? He's 22, turns 23 this year. A lot of people have mentioned him. I don't know much about him, I've got to be honest. I've seen some highlights of Patson Dakar. If any of you guys know a little bit more about him, let me know. How highly do you rate this guy? Big up Vegas Gunner with the super chat. He said, do you think we need a tall striker? We send in crosses a lot. That's our tactic. Especially with Arteta. He seems to always go back to just putting high crosses in. So, I wouldn't mind us having a tall striker, a plan B, someone to bring on. A lot of people saying Dakar is going to Liverpool. I haven't heard those links, but I know that Origi is set to leave Liverpool. So I'm sure Liverpool will be in the market for a striker. More goals than Laka. Yeah, Laka, we've said many times with Laka, man, he just hasn't. He's never hit those numbers that we need. Sean Dyche has thoughts on Loftus-Cheek. Too injury prone. He's on massive wages as well. I think he's a decent player. But yeah, not the answer. Ibra is 6'5". Yeah, Ibra, I believe he just signed a new 1-year deal as well. What we got? 454 likes, 1.5k watching. Yeah, let's hit 1,000 likes, people. It'd be much appreciated if you guys can get us to 1,000 likes on this. And subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget, the Euro Fantasy League, if you want to join it, we'll have a bit of fun. It's in the description below. I set that up today. You just click the link, set up your team, you get 100 million, join the league, and we will, every few days of the Euros, I'll show it on screen, shows top of the league, who's bottom of the league. A bit of fun for the summer. Spuds Ali said, happy for your live streams, keep blowing. I appreciate it, man. Honestly, didn't expect to be still doing as well, with the Arsenal season finishing, but people still want content. Hopefully the transfer news starts to liven up, man. Arsenal fans, we need something positive to cling on to, man. A deal, somebody that we can look at and say, right, celebrate a signing, and hopefully we'll get a deal done in the next week or so. As we saw yesterday, Hector Bellerin could be on his way to join Unai Emery at Villarreal. It seems that this is definite, although when I've read a bit more into it, it does seem as if they haven't actually made an offer yet, but they are speaking to Arsenal about trying to sign Hector Bellerin. It's believed Arsenal want £20 million for Bellerin. Unai Emery wants him in Spain. Of course, when we played Villarreal, they had Juan Foyth, the Tottenham centre-back, at right-back. And he seemed to turn into Dani Alves in that game. I don't know what happened to him, but typical in it that someone puts in, their best performance against Arsenal. And but they're saying Juan Foyth may not stay at Villarreal, and that will open the door for Hector Bellerin, and also Sevilla are interested in him as well. So we'll have to see on that one. What would you guys? I think everyone would accept Hector Bellerin going back to Spain and joining Mr. Good Evening. He's doing us a favour there, man. We desperately need him out the door. If we can get Hector Bellerin and Granit Xhaka out the door, pick up 15 to 20 million each, if we can get 30 to 40 million between those two, then there's a few more that need to go, but we need to then go and buy a player, at least get one player done early. We've got so many decisions to make. Mavropanos and Saliba were on loan. Kolasinac. You've got Maitland Niles, Joe Willock. You've got Torreira, Guendouzi. 7 players out on loan that we've got to make decisions on. We actually need a smaller squad this summer due to the fact that we've got no Europe, So we need to seriously look at cutting that squad down. And, it's going to be a long summer if these guys don't get their act together. This season, the transfer window doesn't start the day the transfer window opens. This seems like what Arsenal are doing. Oh, the window's open today. Let's get moving. These deals could have been done weeks ago, a couple of months ago. Chelsea have made a £60 million offer for Hakimi. They're trying to get Haaland from Dortmund. There's talk of them offering £90 million plus Tammy Abraham to get the deal done. That's the kind of ambition that I want to see. United are talking about buying Jadon Sancho for 95 million euros. And we're here. We can't get Buendia for 30 million plus add-ons from Norwich. Come on, man. We need to fix up. If we're going to plug that gap and start climbing, we got to move like a big club. Chelsea apparently saying that Callum Hudson-Odoi can leave the football club. They turned down 40 million euros from Borussia Dortmund a couple years ago, gave him a new 5-year deal on over £100,000 a week. They're now saying Callum Hudson-Odoi can leave Chelsea. I don't think, personally, that Arsenal will be looking for Callum Hudson-Odoi. I think he's a very talented player, but I don't think he necessarily, I don't think he's lived up to his hype so far. There is a lot of hype around him. All we do is try and get the scraps for real. Haaland, welcome to Chelsea. It wouldn't surprise me because Abramovich is that ruthless. I can see him just saying, what, you want 100 million? All right, we'll give you 90 and Tammy or something like that. People are asking about the Barella links. Yeah, Bayern Munich. Apologies. Did I say Dortmund for Callum Hudson-Odoi? Here is the story. Gazetta. Arsenal are monitoring the situation of Nicolo Barella. I think he meant to put Real Madrid, but they've put Red Madrid. Bayern, Atletico, Tottenham and Liverpool are also in the race to sign the Italian midfielder with 7 lungs. I'm assuming he's got unbelievable work rate if they're saying 7 lungs. His contract expires in 2024. He earns only 2.5 million a year. I wouldn't mind earning 2.5 million a year, but yeah, I suppose in big football club terms, it's not that much money. So if a club turned up and said, we'll give you, what's 2.5 million? He's not even earning. It's not a lot at all, is it? It's not even 50 grand a week, I don't think. So yeah, he's on pretty much peanuts. So if a club came in and offered him, 70, 80 grand a week, he'd be all over it. Big C, we'll find 25 million quid for the Super League. I'm not getting my hopes up this summer. Yeah, Arsenal will go, we were going to buy this player, but the Super League fine held us back. You can see Arteta saying that one. Barella is a baller. I've seen a little bit of him, not too much. What do you guys think about Barella? How good is he? Who's saying it's about 35 grand a week, which for a guy playing for Inter Milan, the Italian champions, is peanuts, really. False manager said Sabitzer 25 mil, Neves 35, Baku 25. Get rid of Bellerin, Xhaka, Ainsley, Torreira, and Guendouzi. So those players you've said there amounts to about 120 million. If you could get 15 to 20 for Bellerin, 15 to 20 for Xhaka and Ainsley and Torreira, Guendouzi they're saying at about 10 mil. Listen, you can easily get 70 million in for those 5 players. And then Arsenal must have a basic of about 50, 60 million to spend. Arsenal should be spending, to me, at least 120 million in this window if they sell their players properly, but I can't see them doing it. Jay Kang said his team of the season card on FIFA is nuts. Matthew said be excited for 9th place. K Show said I'm biting your hand off for Barella. Barella named midfielder of the year in Serie A. I mean, he must be a serious player then. Barella is a beast in midfield, goals, work rate, and great defensive awareness. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is, number one, if he's at Inter Milan and they've just won the league, why would he want to come to Arsenal? I know that Inter do have to sell a couple of players. I think that's why they're looking to sell Hakimi. But I don't see Barella wanting to come to Arsenal. If he's being linked with the likes of Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and Liverpool as well, I feel like there's bigger clubs in front of us that would try and get him. K Show said he's a Kante with 100 times more technical ability. That is some serious praise you're giving the guy there, because N'Golo is something else. But no, listen, fair enough. I haven't seen that much of him, so I'm not gonna, pretend that I know loads about him. I know he's very highly rated. I've seen him a few times. He's only 24, and I've seen that Lippi was saying that he's one of the stars of Italy's future, Marcelo Lippi. So Curtis said coach left, so that might be it. Yeah, possibly. Maybe they're saying, if we can get an offer for you, we'll take it. Hakimi is so good. I think a lot of Arsenal fans are disappointed because we're here desperate for a right back. Let's be honest. Bellerin's not good enough, needs to go. Callum Chambers is not good enough as a right back. Maybe he's okay to play at as a backup right back, but not to start there. And you've got your boy Cedric, who seems to be the forgotten man. So he doesn't seem to be there either. So we clearly need a right back. And then you've got Chelsea. You've got Reece James, who I think is absolutely fantastic. And you've also got Azpilicueta, who I know is a little older now, but they don't even really need a right back, and they're going to buy a right back for 60 million quid. So it's crazy that we're the team that actually needs the right back, and we're not buying one. People saying you need the code as well. Let me just chuck the code in the description for anyone trying to join the Euro Fantasy League. I will add that to it. I thought you could just click the link, but I'll put the code just below that. Anyone who wants to join. And there's the code. Fantasy League code. Fantasy League code. Right, there you go. So I've added the code as well. I thought you could just click the link, but obviously when you set up your team, it must be... some people saying they didn't need the code, but I've put the code there anyway as well. Some people saying they didn't need it. Play Aubameyang through the middle. Just finally, I'm going to finish on this, right? I was looking at this the other day with Aubameyang. Aubameyang's stats over the last few years. This can't be a coincidence that this happens under Mikel Arteta. Look at this guy's record. You go back to 2014-15. This is Aubameyang's goal record, right? 2014-15 for Oba at Dortmund. 14-15, he was still playing wide a lot of the time as well. He gets 16 goals. This is only in the league as well, by the way. He then, 15-16, 25 goals in 31 games. Astonishing. Year later, 31 in 32. Unbelievable goal record. Wins the Golden Boot in Germany ahead of Lewandowski, who, Lewandowski just seems to win the Golden Boot every year, right? And Aubameyang, gets the golden boot. Markson said, Curtis, make a striker show with details. That's another good idea. That's something I'll do as well. Aubameyang gets 31 goals. And on top of that, in these years, I mean, look, he's getting 7 in the Champions League, 7 in 9, 4 in 6, 3 in 8. He's getting goals in the cup as well. He then comes to Arsenal. He has half a season here at Dortmund, 13 in 16. That's from the start of the season till January. He comes to Arsenal in that January, gets 10 in 13. So again, a great season if you put the Dortmund and the Arsenal total together. 18-19, 22 goals in 36 games under Emery, joint golden boot winner. He then gets 22 goals again, second in the golden boot race, wins the FA Cup. And then last year, Arteta's first full year in charge of Oba, look what happens to him. 10 goals in 29 games. The guy is an absolute baller, I'm telling you, Aubameyang, as a finisher. When we signed him, I was seriously excited by his goal record. And look what we've done to him. It can't be a coincidence that Arteta gets his hands on him for a full season and all of a sudden, bang, huge decline of a player. That's why I'm not giving up on Aubameyang. I still believe there's a player there. Arteta broke Oba. It looks like it at the moment, bruv. Seriously. Arteta attacks, as you say, man. He's pulled him down. And, those goal records are not a joke. Let's just hope next year we find a way to get the most out of him. Thank you very much for tuning in today, people. 1,600 of you here. Make sure you like the video. Can we get 1,000 likes? Subscribe if you haven't already. Let's try and hit 30,000 likes sooner rather than later. Channel membership, if anyone wants to become a member, link is in the description. Anyone wants to join the Euro Fantasy Football League, the link is in the description below. I've put the code underneath as well. Some people said you didn't need the code to join, but some said you did. So it's there for you. Join that. Let's have some fun. Let's see who wins the league. Take care, everyone. I'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Saeed will be joining me on the channel tomorrow. So it'll be an Arsenal/Manchester United show tomorrow. And we'll be looking at, takeovers and Arteta and Solskjaer and how do we get the best out of Aubameyang? How do they get the best out of Pogba? All those kind of things. Join me tomorrow, 2 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your day, people. Take care. And thank you very much for tuning in. Bless.